Today we will discuss the machinery solutions for in situ paddy residue management. So in this video we will cover what are the different options for paddy residue management, which includes ex situ practices as well as in situ practices. So this video will provide you with the overview about what the Punjab and the government of India has done in the recent years as far as the residue management is concerned. So first of all, let's discuss the scenario for the Punjab. So area under rice is 3 million hectare, and we are producing around 200 million ton of paddy straw every year, and similar amount of this wheat straw is also produced every year, but this wheat straw is used as animal fodder, whereas this rice straw has very limited use as fodder, so it is generally left in the field for open field burning. So different operational problems faced by the farmers. So this is a tractor and a conventional seed drill which is operating in the field, and you can see and that the farmer has to run 3 to 4 persons behind the machine to remove clogging of the residues from the machine furrow openers. Secondly, there are problems for the depth control or the depth of sowing. Then third, there are problems with the seed and fertilizer metering mechanism ground wheel. So due to these problems, the farmer they prefer to get rid of the residue, and this is the management practice for getting rid of the residue. First, the tractor and a stubble shaver is operated in the field to cut off all the anchored and loose straw lying in the field, and then open field burning is conducted. So this open field burning, this is creating enormous air pollution. Then we are burning the organic matter, then it is hampering the soil physical health, then health hazard and accidents, because in those times it's winter period, and there are a lot of accidents due to smog. Smog is the term when smoke and fog they combine to make smog. Then loss of microdiversity, of course, due to the residue burning. So if someone wants to get rid of this practice, then let us discuss what are the options on the table we have. Before going to options, let's see what are the different nutrients are available in a rice straw. So it has nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, and sulfur, and another micronutrients. So it's a general thumb rule. What the plant takes, the 50% goes to the seed and 50% remains in the straw. So similar is the case with this paddy straw. So if I calculate the value, and this value comes around 751 for 1 hectare area of paddy straw. This includes cost for nitrogen, phosphorus, whereas I have kept zero for the potash, because even after burning the potash remains in the field. So removing the entire residues is not good, uh, as good as you can say the residue burning, because if we are removing the residue, then the potash is also removed from the field. So and the cost is around 751 per hectare. So if I calculate this cost only for the nitrogen and nutrient, then it comes around 106 crore annually. We are burning the nitrogen. This much amount of nitrogen is burned by the farmers every year. So now you can see the potential in this biomass. So if we talk of what are the options on the table we have for residue management. So we can broadly classify the options into two categories. One are ex situ and another ones are in situ. So ex situ is we are using the residue of the farm, whereas in situ we are using the residue in the farm. So let us take first the ex situ options. So for XE2, there are different kind of machines are available for the collection, because in these cases the material has to be transported to some plant, or somewhere we are using where we're using the residue. So this is a forage harvester, which can put all the residue into a trolley. Then we have different innovations by the small farmers. So this is you can say a residue planker. So it's a simple grill on mounted on the 3-point linkage of the tractor, and this is used to drag upon the this residue to the sides of the field. So small farmers which are going for, especially for the vegetables, they are following these type of practices. Then for the straw baling, these are the three machines which are to be operated. First is the stubble shaver to cut the anchored residue, then and the rakes to make the windrow, then there are balers. So around 500 balers and 250 rakes are operational in the state. So let us take one by one. First, this is the operation of a stubble shaver. So it's similar to the grass reaper you might have seen working in the lawns. So it cuts the whole anchored straw from the ground surface, and uh, after this the operation of rake is followed. So this is a rake. Generally, it has a 3 meter width. So 3 meter while it is going, let's say on the right, and when it will come back, this rake will come back. It will again uh, make the windrow on the same row. So it will cover 6 meter of residue, 6 meter width of field, and it will make a windrow which will be having a width of 1 to 1.5 meter. And on these um, windrows the balers are operated. So we will take one by one. So first is the rectangular baler. So this baler, as you can see, it is running on the windrow made by the rake. Then these are the rectangular bales which you can see. Generally, it has a size of 15 to 20 kg, and the user on the basis of his requirement can reduce or increase the weight of bale. So this is how this baler works. So next is the commercial straw baling. So this is again another type of stubble shaver, in which these you can see the three rotors are provided, and on these rotors there are blades which are rotating at a very high speed, and these blades while rotating they cut the residue into small pieces. So this is used to cut the anchored residue and leave the anchored residue as a mulch on the surface. So after which the operation of rake is performed. Now these are the windrows which has been formed by the rake, and you can see the working of round baler. So it generally takes around 35 to 40 seconds to wrap up the bale. The bale size in the round baler, it is around 200 kgs. Uh, so this is the bale, you can see. These round balers, they require sufficient quantity or the straw to be fed at high feed rate. So that is why the operation of rake is mandatory before the operation of these type of balers. So it can make bales of the 1 acre land in 10 to 12 minutes. So this is how that is why it is used at the commercial level. So this was all about the machinery for the collections. Now what we will need to do with the biomass. So these are the biomass plants which has been set up in the Punjab, and according to Pollution Control Board, the installed capacity of these plants is 500,000 ton, and viewers, we are producing 20 million ton of residue. And then you can see we cannot manage more than 2.55% of the residue which we are producing annually with these plants. Further, there are issues with the system. One is the straw has a high silica content. Due to this, it melts in the boiler and chokes the boiler, and the biomass plants needs to be shut up for cleaning, so which is not economical. So high silica content is a problem. Another, it has this biomass based bioenergy or the electricity has a competition from the solar power plants. The solar power plants, they are producing the power at the rupees 3 per kilowatt hour, whereas and the bioenergy plants, we are getting the energy at rupees 8 per kilowatt. So that is why there is no new investment in bioenergy based plants. Then due to high abrasion in the paddy straw, it is very abrasive, so there is a lack of making briquettes, pellets plants. Also, due to high silica, it has low digestibility as well as palatability, so that is why not favored as a fodder for the animal. The end story is the collection cost, that is baling and then transportation of the material to a plant, is more than what the end price the farmer will get out of this. So that is why it is this is not picking up at a faster rate. Moreover, this practice is, I would say, it is nutrient mining, because we are removing the residues from the field, and we are removing organic matter away from our fields. So in a way we are doing nutrient mining. So this should be discouraged. We must recycle the residues into the soil. So these are the some of the news in which some farmers, they have collected the residue, however they are unable to sell because there are no buyers are available. So this is about the XC2 and methods. So I have put around 10 to 15% of residue what we are producing we can manage on the basis of XC2 management. So for in situ we have two broad categories. One is incorporation, another one is mulching. So let's take one by one. First is incorporation. So, as the name suggests, incorporation in this, we are incorporating the residue into the soil. So, for incorporation, it is very important that we should chop or do the side size reduction of the paddy straw. So you can see on the screen on the left side there are two machines. These are straw choppers, and there are 5 to 10 models of different straw choppers, so single cylinder, double cylinder, and the purpose of all these choppers is to chop the residue into smaller pieces. So, and on the right you can see how the field look like after straw chopper operation. So we will take one by one the different machines operation. So first one is, this is the straw chopper, so double cylinder. So in this there is this is a trail type equipment, and you can see a reel and a cutter bar beneath it, and then there is auger, and this auger feeds the material into the straw chopper, and there are two drums which are counter rotating and have baffle blades, and when these drums rotate, these chop off the residue. So the average size or the weighted mean size is around 5 inches for these star choppers. The performance of these star choppers, it varies with the straw moisture. The greener the straw, the better is the chop size. And if the straw is dry, then these choppers they do not perform well, and the size is much higher. The weighted mean size is much higher. So this was the double cylinder straw chopper. So the only recommendation is it should be operated immediately after the harvesting. So you can see in this video too, the straw is quite wet. So next one is the mulcher. So this one is a mounted machine and much easier to operate, and you can see these residues are a little bit drier um, as compared to the previous chopper operation. So this is a mounted machine, and a single straw management drum is there which is slashing all the residue, and the size reduction, the size and the chop size is a little bit larger than the double cylinder chopper, but it has it has not it has very less effect of the straw moisture, so its performance remains unchanged when we operate this machine in high residue high moisture conditions or low moisture conditions. So it's a more versatile machine than the straw chopper. Now this is how the field view after harvesting. So you can see a lot of anchored as well as loose straw is there before the operation of chopper, and then it is usually operated across the combine harvester operation. So all the residue you can see is on the ground. Then, after the operation of straw chopper or the size reduction of the straw, there are two methods for incorporation. One is dry mixing, which includes the use of straw, this MB plow, moldboard plow, and then a subsequent operation of rotavator. So, let's see how the moldboard plow. This is after the operation of mulcher. This is a reversible moldboard plow which is having three bottoms, and these requires moldboard plows, these require high and draft. So that's why you can see the tractor is around 75 horsepower. So you can see it is inverting whole soil, and topsoil which is having the straw is going down, and the soil at in beneath this, which is coming on the top. So this is the operation of a MV plow, reversible moldable plow. So second one is these are this is MB plow, which is 5 bottom, and it covers around 2 meter widths in one pass. So it is little bit its working is, and that the plow moves shallow in the soil, and inversion is also lesser, but at the same time it's very it's very economical. It cost around 40,000 rupees only, whereas the other one that cost around 2.5 lakhs. So this is MB plow. Then the after these MB plows, the operation of rotavator is done, and then the field is ready for sowing of the next crop. So that was the dry mixing. Now we have wet mixing. So this is again, this is the field after straw chopper. Then a light irrigation is applied to the field, and then with the help of a rotavator it is mixed into the soil. So the amount of water should be applied should be very less, because if the water is more, then the straw will or the mud will start flowing. So it would be very difficult to incorporate the straw into the soil. So this is wet mixing. And after this operation, the farmer has to wait for 21 days so that the crop can be next crop can be sown. So generally this practice is followed over where the wheat or the rice is harvested in the first week of October, and then easily the wheat can be sown after 21 days, that is in the first week of November. So this is how the crop germination after 21 days, and then on the bottom you can say the crop stand after 2 months. So this is all about incorporation. Two methods, one is dry, another one is wet, and then we will talk of about the economics later on. So next is mulching. So in mulching, the machine is the major machine is happy seeder. So in this, we are not incorporating the residue into the soil, but we're keeping the soil residue on the surface and sowing and going through and sowing the next crop. So this is operation of happy seeder. This is the field view after the operation of happy seeder. Then you can see the crop germination after 21 days. Then this is the crop stand after 2 months. Again with the help of happy seeder, in the wheat straw the mung bean can be sown, and again in wheat straw after wheat one can sow the fodder maize. Then new developments in the residue management machinery. So first one is easy seeder. So students, on the side view you can see there is a tine, and then there is a vertical cutter with attached to the tine, then a residue pusher. So this is in actual, you can see a tine and a vertical cutter and a residue pusher. So let's see how this machine works. So this is how this easy seeder works. So whatever the residue that comes in front of the tine, that is cut by the vertically moving blades, and the residue pusher push the material away from the machine. So whatever the material is cut, that is removed by the residue pusher. So this is how the machine works. And Um, these are the furrows opened by the machine. So this is again a zero tillage machine with mulching. The operation is similar to the happy feeder, but the mechanism of doing is different. Now we have few new systems for residue management. So we will take one by one. First one is super seeder, that is incorporation in one pass. Earlier we have discussed incorporation, but that was using different machines. Then we have direct seeder or CMS seeder, incorporation in single pass. So this is similar to super seeder, but a few components are different from the super seeder. Then we have strip seeder. So this is in between incorporation and mulching. So it's partial incorporation and partial mulching. So it would be clear to you when you go through the videos. Mm, then happy seeder. This is complete no tillage and complete mulching. So first let us take super seeder, incorporation in one pass. So you can see this is working in the combine harvested paddy field, and whole the straw, it is pushed down by the rotavator into the soil. So this is having C type blades which are incorporating the whole material into the soil, and at the same time the sowing operation for the wheat is done. The major problem with this machine is it requires a high HP tractor because weight of the machine as well as load and the speed requirement. It is different. This machine requires a tractor which has a creeper gear. So it due to the creeper gear, this machine could be operated at very low speed. Then next is a CMS seeder or direct seeder. So in this, the only difference with the super seeder is instead of a rotavator at the front, it has vertical discs inclined at some angle, and these are responsible for chopping off and pushing the residue down into the soil. So this is how the CMS seeder or direct seeder works. So it is moving all the residue in the soil and doing the sowing. So next one is strip seeder. So in this, the straw or the rotavator blades, these are cut short, and it is plowing the only part of soil which is coming in front of seed rows. So the tillage is done ahead of the furrow openers only, and the area between two furrows, that remains untilled, and also that has a residue cover. So you can see the more clearer rows. So next in this category is happy seeder. So you can see this is how the working of happy seeder is there. The straw management rotor helps the helps to clean the furrow openers, and the furrow openers they put seed and fertilizer. So this is how the happy seeder works. Whole of the straw is left on the soil surface. So these are the four new machines. Now, how the field look like after sowing with the different alternatives. So this is very important for these machines. So first is the super seeder. So lot of or the whole of the straw is incorporated in the soil, and the field bears a clean look. Second is direct seeder. The straw some of the straw is left on the surface and some is incorporated. So this is how the field look like for the direct seeder. For the happy seeder, whole of the straw is on the surface, and this one is strip seeder. So you can see the straw in between the rows remains as such, whereas you can clearly see how or the where the rows are there, because the tillage as well as the straw is incorporated into the soil. Now let us see the performance of different machines after 70 days. Let's see how the crop stand is there for after 70 days.
ਪਰਾਲੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 70 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਫਸਲ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ 35 ਕੁ ਦਿਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਸਲ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਬਣਾਇਆ ਸੀ। ਇਸ ਸਮੇਂ ਇਸ ਫਸਲ ਨੂੰ ਦੋ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਯੂਰੀਆ ਦੀ ਕਿਸ਼ਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਪੈ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਸਲ ਨੂੰ ਪਾਣੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਲਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਈ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਦੋਨੇ ਵਾਰ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਮੀਂਹ ਪੈ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ, ਅਤੇ ਭਰਵੇਂ ਮੀਂਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਸੀਂ ਯੂਰੀਆ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਛਿੱਟਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਦੇ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਖੜੇ ਕਰਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈਪੀ ਸੀਡਰ ਵਾਲੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫਸਲ ਹੈ ਉਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ 70 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰਾਲੀ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਹੁਣ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਹਿਣੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਕਣਕ ਨੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਬੂਟਾ ਬਣਾਉਣਾ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ। ਕੋਈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਦੀਨ ਅਤੇ ਗੁੱਲੀ ਡੰਡੇ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਆਓ ਹੁਣ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਦੂਜੇ ਖੇਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਪ ਸੀਡਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੀਜਿਆ ਸੀ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਦੂਜੀ ਮਸ਼ੀਨ ਹੈ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਪ ਸੀਡਰ, ਉਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਬੀਜਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਖੇਤ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਣਕ ਦਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜੰਮ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। 121 ਜਿਹੜੀ ਝੋਨੇ ਦੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਸੀ ਉਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਣਕ ਬੀਜੀ ਗਈ ਸੀ, ਅਤੇ ਆਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੂਟਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਅਤੇ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ 2 ਵਾਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਯੂਰੀਆ ਖਾਦ ਦੀ ਸਪਰੇਅ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਪਰਾਲੀ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਗਲਣੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ। ਸਟ੍ਰਿਪ ਸੀਡਰ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਹ ਖੇਤ ਹੈਗਾ, ਅਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸ਼ਾਨਦਾਰ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹੀਏ ਕਣਕ ਦੀ ਫਸਲ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਆਹ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਗਲਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਖੱਤਾ ਹੈ ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਪਰ ਸੀਡਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮਸ਼ੀਨ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਿਜਾਈ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਅਤੇ ਹਾਲੇ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਕਣਕ ਘੱਟ ਜੰਮੀ ਹੋਈ ਆ, ਰਲਣੀ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਕੱਦ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਪ ਸੀਡਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਅਤੇ ਇਕਸਾਰਤਾ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਘੱਟ ਹੈ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸੁਪਰ ਸੀਡਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬੀਜੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਕਣਕ, ਅਤੇ ਬਾਕੀ 70 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਜੀ ਫਸਲ। 2 ਯੂਰੀਆ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਖਾਦਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪਾ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਆ, ਅਤੇ ਹਲਕੇ ਪਿਲੱਤਣ 'ਤੇ ਵੀ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਹਲਕਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਰੰਗ ਹੈਗਾ ਪੀਲਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਇਸ ਦਾ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅਗਲੇ ਖੱਤੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟ ਸੀਡਰ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਮਸ਼ੀਨ ਹੈ ਪਰਾਲੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਣਕ ਨੂੰ ਉਗਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ, ਅਤੇ ਇਹਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਣਕ ਹੈ ਸੁਪਰ ਸੀਡਰ ਦੇ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਬਿਹਤਰ ਲੱਗ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਬਾਕੀ
So these are the crop stands for the different machines which we have discussed. So if someone wants to go for the residue management, the 85% of the residue that has to be managed by in situ paddy residue management techniques. So when we talk of the in situ paddy residue management, this is the field condition after the operation of combine harvester. Earlier, before harvesting with the combine harvester, the field is uniform, the rice is at everywhere, but after the operation of combine harvester, the loose straw is uneven in the field. So you can see this is the top view of the combine harvested field, and you can see the residue lines. These are the loose straw lines which are formed by the combine harvester. So if we want to go for in situ management, then there is the requirement to uniformly spread the lines of the loose straw. So manual spreading and is done, but it was not favored by the farmers. So that is why the this system was developed. So this is super SMS. So whatever the residue that is coming from the combine harvester, that is first chopped and then redistributed in the entire width of the header. So header width is around 4.2 meters, and whatever the residue coming from the combine straw walkers, that is again redistributed in the entire header width. So this is a precursor. This super SMS attachment to a combine harvester is a precursor if one wants to go for in situ management. So this is the field view after the operation of super SMS. So it's clearly it is uniformly distributing the whole residue in the field. So what are the advantages of the super SMS? One, it does the uniform spreading of the straw that you have seen. Then and it does straw size reduction. A lot of chopping is done in situ. It's a precursor for in situ management. It increases the field capacity of happy seeder, because a lot of work or the chopping of residue is done and the operation of subsequent machines is smoother. Then it saves the pre-sowing irrigation. So what happens in some of the cases where the moisture is limiting, what happens, the residue on which, and there is a loose residue, the lines on which the loose residue is there, they remains, or the soil remains wetter, and the soil becomes dry where we have only anchored straw. So if the super SMS is there as an attachment to the combine harvester, the uniformity is there as far as the soil moisture is concerned. So what are the disadvantages? It reduces the field capacity by 7% of the combine harvester. It increases the fuel consumption by 24%. That it generally it takes a combine harvester for harvesting rice around 8 liters, 8 to 10 liters per hour, and this fuel consumption is for the super SMS is increased by 2 to 2.5 liters per hour. Now if the farmer is harvesting the rice in the, you can say, last week of October, and has sufficient soil moisture in the field, which usually and the rice fields have, then he can go for simultaneously sowing of the wheat crop during or after the harvesting. So you can see the concurrent use of happy seeder along with the combine harvester. So this is the most economical and easiest method if someone wants to get rid of the residue. Then different efforts. So the detailed drawings for the super SMS attachment as well as for the happy seeders also, and they were provided to the different manufacturers. Then and the university has signed 121 MOUs for memorandum of understanding with the different combine manufacturers. Then And the fabrication procedures for Super SMS as well as Happy Cedar, they were developed in collaboration with the manufacturers. For Happy Cedar, it was with the Shamesh Mechanical Works, and for Super Cedar, Super SMS, it was with the Gurdeep Combines. So this video, this entire video, this is available on the net, so you can see. Then the different ways to manufacture, repair, and how to efficiently use the different machines, the videos were made. So this is for the Super SMS.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਵੀਰੋ। ਹੈਪੀ ਸੀਡਰ ਦੀ ਵਰਤੋਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਕਿਸਾਨ ਭਰਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ ਕਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਨੇ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਖੇਤੀਬਾੜੀ ਮਾਹਿਰਾਂ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਹੋਏ ਜਵਾਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਲਿਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਇਸ ਵੀਡੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਸਾਡਾ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਲ ਕਿ ਸੁਪਰ ਐਸਐਮਐਸ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਭ ਸੰਭਾਲ ਕਿਵੇਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਆਓ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ।
ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਨੁਕਤਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਹ ਹੈ ਵੀ ਸੁਪਰ SMS 1700 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 1800 ਚੱਕਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਇਸ ਲਈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਚੱਕਰਾਂ 'ਤੇ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਇਹਦੀ ਡਾਇਨਮਿਕ ਬੈਲੈਂਸਿੰਗ ਹੈ ਉਹਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ। ਚੱਲਦੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਵੀ ਜੇਕਰ ਕੋਈ ਟੁੱਟ ਭੱਜ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਸੇ ਫਲੇਲ ਬਲੇਡ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਾਂ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਉਸੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਬਦਲੋ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਵਾਈਬ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਵੱਧ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਸ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹਦਾ ਟੁੱਟ ਭੱਜ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਖਦਸ਼ਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵੱਧ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸੁਪਰ SMS ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਾਰਜਕੁਸ਼ਲਤਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ 'ਤੇ ਨਿਰਭਰ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇਹਦੇ ਕੰਘੀ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਲੇਡ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫਲੇਲ ਬਲੇਡ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਆਪਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿੰਨਾ ਚੜਾਅ ਹੈ। ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੜਾਅ ਵਧਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਕੁਤਰਾ ਵੱਧ ਜਾਵੇਗਾ, ਤੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੜਾਅ ਘਟਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਹ ਕੁਤਰਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਈਜ਼ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵੱਡਾ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜਿੰਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਚੜਾਅ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਓਨਾ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਕੰਬਾਈਨ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਲੋਡ ਵਧੇਗਾ। ਆਮ ਤੌਰ 'ਤੇ 1 ਏਕੜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਕਰੀਬਨ 1 ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 1.25 ਲੀਟਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਡੀਜ਼ਲ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਖਪਤ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਵੱਧ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕੰਬਾਈਨ ਹਾਰਵੈਸਟਰ ਦੀ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਸੁਪਰ SMS ਦੀ ਕਾਰਜਕੁਸ਼ਲਤਾ ਵਧਾਉਣ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੰਘੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਲੇਡ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੋਣ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਥੱਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਹੇਠਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਰਾਲੀ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕੰਘੀ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ ਨਾ ਰੁਕੇ, ਸਗੋਂ ਹੇਠਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਟਰ ਦੇ ਗੇੜੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਕੁਤਰੀ ਜਾਵੇ। ਇਸ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਸੁਪਰ SMS ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿਫਾਰਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਇਸਦੇ ਸੁਪਰ SMS ਰੋਟਰ ਦੇ ਚੱਕਰ ਦੱਸਣ ਵਾਲਾ ਇੱਕ ਮੀਟਰ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਲਗਾਇਆ ਜਾਵੇ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਰਾਈਵਰ ਨੂੰ ਅਗਰ ਸੁਪਰ SMS ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਖਰਾਬੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਚੱਕਰ ਘਟਦੇ ਨੇ ਉਹਦੀ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ, ਤੇ ਇਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੰਬਾਈਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਚੋਕਿੰਗ ਜਾਂ ਸਟਰਾ ਵਾਕਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਟੁੱਟਣ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਖਤਰਾ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਚਿਆ ਜਾ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ। ਅਖੀਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੁਪਰ SMS ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇੱਕ ਇਹ ਧਾਰਨਾ ਜੁੜੀ ਹੋਈ ਹੈ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕੰਬਾਈਨ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਦਾਣੇ ਮਾਰਨ ਲੱਗ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। ਅਸਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੰਬਾਈਨ ਦਾ ਦਾਣੇ ਮਾਰਨ ਦਾ ਸੁਪਰ SMS ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੋਈ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈ। ਜੇਕਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੰਬਾਈਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਾਣੇ ਮਾਰਨ ਦੀ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਇਤ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਕੰਬਾਈਨ ਦੀ ਸੈਟਿੰਗ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਹੀ ਕਰ ਲੈਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ।
ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਸਰ। ਤਾਂ ਭਰਾਵੋ ਜਵਾਬ
So these were the different videos, those were made to help the farmers and the users. Then different bulletins, extension bulletins were developed for the use of different machines like PU Super SMS, Happy Cedar, and these were developed in the different languages so that these are useful with the farmers. Then the minimum performance testing for the Super SMS was also conducted, and more than 100 manufacturers they have participated in these activities. So if we talk about the number and the area under different straw management practices, so in 2016, before the you can say crop residue management scheme, the number of Happy Cedar was 660 and the area was 6900 hectare only. And in 2018, after the scheme first year, the number jumped to 9700 and the area was 4,74,000 hectare, which was about 15.8% of the total area of wheat followed by the rice. So tremendous increase in the adoption of the technology was observed after the scheme. Now we will talk of what are the advantages of recycling the residues. So in this I will consider the three cases. One is without residue. Another two options are happy seeder as well as incorporation. So if we see the bulk density, the first column is bulk density. So bulk density is lesser for happy seeder as well as incorporation. So this shows the field and the soil is loosened up. So it's a good sign for the you can say field. Then and the organic carbon, so organic carbon is around 1.5 times what is without residue, that is 0.42, and with residue retention the organic carbon is 0.68 and 0.75. Similarly, the available nitrogen per acre, and then unavailable phosphorus and available potassium, these are all up or higher for the fields which are having residue as compared to the fields which are over where we have removed the residue. So this shows that if someone uses the residue management continuously or recycles the residue continuously in the fields, then in long term the soil health, organic carbon, available nutrients, and the bulk density, these are better for crop or the plant's germination. Then this is another slide which shows that this is again having three treatments. One is straw burned, another two and three, they are the straw incorporated or straw as a mulch. Then you can say the organic carbon is again 1.5 times. Then the system productivity for rice wheat for first 3 years, there is a no or marginal decrease is there for the system productivity if the residual retention is done, but of 4 years onward there is a increase in the system productivity. So after 4 years we can definitely see that the soil health which is improved by residue recycling is paying off in terms of yield to the farmers. Then we have discussed number of options. Now it's time for what is the economics. So for happy seeder, super SMS plus happy seeder, as only one machine is used, so the cost is around 2800 rupees per hectare. For wet mixing, two machines are used, the cost is 5000. For dry mixing, three machines are used per acre, per hectare of the land, the cost is 8000. And similarly for the residue retention, the cost is around 5000. And if the farmer does the conventional tillage, then again the cost is 5000 to 6000 rupees. So this shows if the residual retention, super SMS plus happy seeder, or the single operation of the machine for managing the residue, that is happy seeder, is the most economical option as compared to the other options in hand we have. Then impact, the super SMS is now mandatory for harvesting rice on the all self-propelled combine harvesters. Then there is a increase in the organic carbon from 0.45 to 0.6% when the farmer they recycle the residue for 4 years or more. The area under happy seeder has increased to around 15.8% of total area under rice wheat rotation in 2018, and the number of burning events they come down from 1 lakhs to 59,000 in 2018 as compared to 2016. And the area under Happy Cedar was again 5 lakh hectares, and the burning events were 50,000 for year 2019. So, what lesson we have learned? There are three machinery options for residue management, uh, XC2 as well as incorporation and mulching. Then the power generation plants has very lesser capacity. 85% of the residue what the farmer is producing, that has to be managed on the farm. Baling is not good for the soil health. Incorporation is energy intensive and time consuming, and that's why it's not economical also. But in this case the farmer gets rid of the residue. Then mulching, it is economical, checks the weeds growth, helps in timely sowing, but the farmer has to bear with for the straw for 1 month or so. So this is development of the Happy Cedar. It started in 2001. Earlier it was two machines, then slowly and the number of models were made, and this is how now at this time it is commercialized technology. So in the end I would like to say that it is the most economical and the easiest way to sow wheat with the Happy Cedar, but the farmer requires some precautions for raising wheat in the residue with Happy Cedar. So the farmers which are taking all the cautions, they are doing it successfully. The farmers which are not following all the cautions, they may face lesser yields. So we will cover about the different cautions for using Happy Cedar in our next video. Till then, thank you very much.